Welcome to Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes with your host Bert Laporte, Damian Monte Carlo, and Angry Mike D. Alright, sit back and enjoy the ride as they talk about all things that rock and other useless knowledge you don't care about. And remember, every asshole has an opinion. This is theirs. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe.
We are back, another episode of Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes. This one we're doing a review of a band called Cardiacs, and the album is called Sing to God. It was a record that was released in 1996 or 95. And
96,
yeah,
I believe.
96, and they just did a re-release of it, I guess, or something.
Well, older music was just introduced, I guess, in the last month and a half, maybe, to Spotify. And I would say probably up until that point, you were listening to a band called the 180Gs. And I don't know much about them, but they covered the whole album in a cappella.
Oh, I can't fucking wait to hear that. I wish you would have told me that ahead of time.
So
I definitely would.
That was the only way you were actually able to connect with the Cardiacs on Spotify up until about a month and a half ago, which is interesting. And I'll tell you what, this guy put a lot of work into it, and it's ingenious.
Who the 180G guys? Or
the
whatever?
180G guy did an awesome job.
I'm hoping I like it better. To be honest with you.
Okay. With that being said, I'll give a history of the band, which they started out in around 1977. Brothers Jim and Tim Smith formed a band, and I guess they were kind of influenced by like 70s prog and punk music, and which kind of coined the term prunk, which Jim
Prunk.
Which Tim Smith does not like, really. He kind of rejects that word prunk, and he kind of calls his music pop. Now,
Pop?
Even I wouldn't call this pop. There's some pop music. There's some pop, but I wouldn't go as far as to say it's pop music. It's definitely on the fringe side of the music world.
Really?
And but there's a lot of artists that drew inspiration from this band. And from the likes of Blur, Radiohead, Justin Hawkins, you have Mike Patton. So a lot of bands knew about Cardiacs before recently, and now there's after like 2020, their band leader Tim Smith died, and now everybody's starting to realize what a force they were, and they had, reviews from years ago when they came out that were just trashing this band, utterly just trashing them. Bands would give magazines would give their albums zeros. So Damien, if you gave this a bad review, which I honestly think you will, it's totally understood because it takes a bit to understand this band.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I'm gonna call this episode The Revenge of Mike.
I was just going to say that. The Mike D. Revenge Tour.
It sort of is a revenge episode, if you
It
could
definitely
say
is
that.
a revenge episode. You're getting us back.
So this is the band's fourth album, and I kind of considered it up until about not too long ago, probably like their eighth or ninth album. I didn't know all the stuff before that were compilations and this and that. So they only really have 5 real albums out. This is their fourth album, Sing to God, which really deviated from anything they've done in the past. They were kind of more on the upbeat side, and this just took a turn for the weird, and in a good way. So I would usually say that this album would be in my top 10, and as of recent, I'm even going to go as far as saying it's in my top 5
Of all time?
of all time. This is absolutely one of my favorite. I love this album.
And you did purchase the vinyl for like $100, didn't you?
I think I got it for about 80. This was one of the cheaper ones I got. So none of their albums sound the same. They're I can't even explain them, but they're just something either you're going to love or you're probably going to hate. But at this point, they started out sort of like a 7-8 piece band, and by this point in the career, they worked down to a 4 piece, and they more went towards a more heavier sound, guitar, or more guitar oriented in your face, a bit more on the punky side. A lot of their stuff even would be considered folk on some of their old stuff. So you can't really pigeonhole anything.
It's out there, man.
It's definitely
yeah,
out
it's
there. And it might take a bit. You might have to go back to it, but I found this band in like 2008, and I was listening to this band Oceansize, and I was like reading stuff about them, and they kept mentioning this band Cardiacs, and there wasn't really much on YouTube, so I was like, you know what, I don't want to know what they look like. I just want to kind of just go into it and listen to it. I read about them a little bit, so I found them on one of those Share Bears, and I downloaded their whole collection and kind of started from the beginning. I'm like, yeah, this is kind of cool. And with each album, it kind of like changed and just until this is pretty much what you get.
Angry Mike D, very passionate about this.
Very passionate.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've never heard them. I've only heard of you mention them. They are not what I expected at all. I did not expect this. I mean, I Bert said punk. I don't hear an ounce of punk in their music at all. It's
well, I mean,
prog for sure.
Definitely prog for sure. It's punk as far as like it's very in your face. It's very DIY. It's very that genre would probably more gravitate towards it. It has more of a punk attitude. Like I would never pigeonhole it as just punk.
Yeah, it's you ever hear a band called Gentle Giant?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And I believe that's one of his influences.
Yeah, I could totally hear that influence. And you should check it. You should check them out if you haven't.
I did hear some of this stuff. Some of it's interesting, some of it loses me.
I think I like the Gentle Giant stuff better than this.
It reminds me just like this band. It's just fucking weird.
Yeah, he does have a connection with that band. I think I read. He definitely likes a lot.
My uncle is he's really into like 70s prog rock, and when I was a teenager, he would make me like mixtapes, and he made me one of Gentle Giant. I forget what album it was. It was the one with it's like a card of like a king, you know.
Okay, I know what cover. I saw that cover before.
It's a pretty cool album cover. But he made me that one, and it's weird, but this stuff is even weirder. This stuff is way more out there. It
is absolutely weird.
Yeah. And the funny thing about it, that band Gentle Giant, there was two brothers, Shulman brothers. The one guy, Derek Shulman, went on to become a big A&R guy at Polygram Records. He signed Bon Jovi. And he signed Bon Jovi, he signed Cinderella, a bunch of those bands. But he came from that band, Gentle Giant. Who the hell would have thought?
The Gentle Giant record that Damien was talking about is called The Power and the Glory.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, so one more thing before we really get into this, and this is probably something to turn you off too, but maybe to understand it a little more is when they formed the band, they kind of started out like weird face painters, not like Kiss, just warped looking clown paint. And Tim Smith would pretty much berate his band and go on tangents in the middle of like a show. It was part of their whole shtick at that time. And he would berate his brother on stage pretty much the whole time. And yeah, eventually they got out of the clown paint, but he still kind of.
But they kept the music. They did keep the music.
I wouldn't call it clown music. It's definitely not carnival music. Definitely.
That's funny because that's in a lot of my notes.
There's tinges of it in there, but I would never categorize them as carnival music. Like maybe Mr. Bungle a little more, but.
Yeah, I got a description, but maybe
we'll save it to the end. I'll save
it for the end.
Yeah, me too.
So lot with the lyrics and stuff, he's how could you say they're very cryptic, and he never really explains his lyrics. It's like a lot of this stuff is from old movies, childhood things. A lot of it's written from the eyes of a child, so it's kind of that's his warped world. It's its own little cardiac world, so to say.
All right. Well,
With
that
that
being
said,
said,
let me get my list up here.
yeah, the roles are definitely reversed tonight. And before we start this, anybody that's a Cardiac fan, listen, this is just our opinion. You know, good or bad.
Oh, shut up! I need somebody behind me
Yeah.
for once.
Usually they're against who's that guy that keeps smoking the vape in the screen. So yeah, so we don't give a fuck. It's our podcast. Get your own podcast if you don't like what we say. I'm at that point with this bullshit. So yeah,
You tell them.
you put in the work.
You tell them.
All right. So yeah, here we go. Cardiac, Sing to God, double record. Thank you, Mike. Double record.
Oh, if you're getting it good.
Yeah, well, this is definitely the Mike D Revenge tour.
Yeah.
Right now, this is definitely it. But yeah, before I get into this, I listened to this 4 or 5 times. No bullshit. I gave it a fair shake. I really did. I didn't go there the first time I heard it, like, oh, I tried to really listen to it and get into it. And yeah, that being said, we're gonna start. There's 18 tracks that are like kind of like songs, and then there's a couple other, there's like maybe 4 other tracks that are more like, kind of cool little filler in stuff and weird shit, which is kind of that stuff's actually kind of cool, but we didn't include that in our ratings because they're not really songs. It's kind of hard to judge that stuff. So we're just going with the songs. So there's 18 of them. So we're going to count down from 18, worst to best, as far as the panel goes, all together. And here we go. Coming in at number 18, Wireless. What you got, Damo?
Well, right off the bat, I see that the song was 8 minutes and 22 seconds. So you automatically lose 5 points for that.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna say right off the bat, I'm going to come off as really ignorant in this, but I'm just going to be honest. This is not music that's in my wheelhouse at all. I'm going to admit I like pop music, whether it's pop music, or hard rock, metal stuff that has the basic format of music. This stuff is just really out there, and I got to give it to these guys. I'll give them credit. They come up with shit like this. I can never fathom.
You're absolutely right.
It is way out there. So it's definitely a little more. Look, I like dumb, idiot, stupid rock and roll. Okay, stupid pop music. That's what I like. I don't have the intellect for stuff like this. Okay, so I know people always put comments and shit. I don't care. Call me a fucking idiot. So with that being said, I just didn't understand this one song, and I gave it a 2.5 out of 10.
There you go. Mike D, Wireless.
This one took me a while. I would honestly say I would skip this a lot of times because it was so long and it kind of felt like it went nowhere, and I would usually skip it early. But somewhere on the line, it was probably when I got the vinyl of it. It's kind of like, I'm not going to skip it because I got to get up. And so I left it on, and it just has that trancing feel. It's almost like a little poem. And if you look at the lyrics, it's so fucking warm. It's just bizarre. And yes, I will say 8 minutes. And what happens probably at the 5-minute mark, it goes into something else, which they don't mention. I forget because they don't even mention it on Wikipedia anymore. But there was a little poem at the end of it. So it kind of was more of 2 different things.
Okay. What did you give it rating wise?
I gave this one an 8.
Okay. Wireless. I gave it a 2. Interesting intro. It's got that Radiohead sound, which I'm sure Radiohead got from
another band that was definitely influenced by them.
Like I said, the Radiohead guys must be big fans of the Cardiacs. Some interesting stuff going in there, but there's a lot of circus for me going on. A lot of circus music, in my opinion. It's over 8 minutes long, which is funny because an 8-minute Bruce Dickinson song is not as interesting to Mike as an 8 minutes Cardiac song, which, okay.
They don't have that many.
Well, here's my thing. As crazy as their stuff is, and it's so much going on, man, it's fucking repetitive also. There was so much repetitive. I heard that one fucking riff forever in this song. Too much repetitive nonsense.
It's like a little jazz kind of piece.
Well, I want to end my thing with Wireless is saying it's like a bad dream. and the alarm clock going off, off, off. It's like I hear that's the alarm clock I'm hearing when I'm waking up. It's like, shut it the fuck off. That's where I'm at on that. All right. Coming in at number 17, A Horse's Tail. What do you got, Damo?
This one, man, this was a weird. I'm gonna just keep on repeating that. I'm gonna give the same description
there.
for pretty much every song. It was out there. It was definitely cooler than the last one. A lot of shit going on, man. I gave it a 4 out of 10.
Okay, Mike Dick.
I gave us a 7.5. I probably could have gave this one another point lower, maybe. And not to say, because I really like certain parts of this one. It really has some parts in this that are just fucking awesome. And what gets on my nerves with this song is that I don't know how to even describe it, but right before there's that jingly part. Dun, 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 dun. You get the heavy guitar riff, but there's that little jingle behind it, which just fucking annoys me. But other than that, I like the song. So,
yep. I mean, don't get me wrong. With all their stuff, man, there's definitely interesting, catchy parts in there, but it never fulfills it for me. You know,
this is what they do. I mean, it's some of their older stuff is kind of a little more on the linear side. This is just a whole new level.
Well, A Horse's Tail, I gave it 2. It just sounds like let's throw the kitchen sink and everything in there. It's like
that's exactly what it is.
It's like Willy Wonka on speed, then coming down. That's what I get out of this.
They're described as having
Mike D's really
more ideas and no, I'm not. I'm just telling you, like if they've been described as having more ideas in one song than many bands have in their entire career.
Well, you know what? I'm fine with that if it kind of makes sense somewhere, like where it kind of, even though it's all over the place. It sounds like one long song going on.
This
forever.
is art. I mean, you could say like music is an art all day, but it is, and it's art. Sure. It's what's coming. I think it's brilliant. I look at him as sort of he's more of a composer, not like.
Yeah,
I would look at him more as on that Mozart than, like a Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's genius definitely in there. It's just not my thing. Going into number 16, No Gold. What you got, Damo?
Yeah, man, it's another wacky song. Got these, and a lot of these songs there's like a really, really high falsetto.
It's fake. It's the harmonizer that they're using, probably.
Yeah, dude, it's
the chipmunk harmonizer thing.
Yeah, it's fucking.
Well, they use it sort of that dreamy effect. Yes,
yeah, it's. And you said dreamy. I got
or a nightmare, or whatever you want to say.
I'm going to save it for the end. I got something right in my phone, and it's gonna it's gonna be the theme. It seems like everyone else feels the same way, but yeah, man, I gave us one a 2.5 out of 10. It's just fucking weird. It's really weird.
Yeah,
this stuff.
Mike D.
This is another one. It took me a while to get when they finally do go in slow mode. It's just kind of cool, and I just love the whole dreamy aspect of what they do when they go there. I gave this one an 8.5, and lyrics are fucking twisted. I love that little backwards piano thing that comes in there. I don't know if that's what they're doing. That's what it sounds like to me. I just love the swirls in the back, the guitars, the bass is swirling in there. It's like everything is swirling, like it's like a dream or a nightmare.
Yep. No Gold. I gave it 3. I got one sentence. Imagine Sgt. Pepper backwards, but not
okay.
Good.
Yes, exactly.
But not good. That's all I got for that. Coming in number 15, Nurses Whispering Verses.
This is actually one of my I favorite.
You can say favorites. You can say favorite things.
Yeah, this one I actually liked better than a lot of the other ones. I gave it 5 out of 10. Another crazy one. I mean, it probably would have scored a little bit higher if it wasn't 9 minutes and 53 seconds.
Jesus.
Yeah, but you know what? Some of this stuff reminds me of, and this song especially, kind of reminds me of like some of the System of System of a Down stuff, like on what
First
album
record?
is it? Nah, it's like Mesmerize or Hypnotize.
Okay.
One of those two. Because they had a lot of weird shit going on those, but it was a little more interesting to me. The songs were shorter. Yeah, man, it was just
I was going to mention that too. I was like, Bert, you love System of a Down. I'm like, how do you not at least appreciate this?
You know what it
Yeah.
is? It's that fucking keyboard's going through my head. Beep, 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 beep. It's just going through my head. It's tough listening for me. It is. If it was heavy guitar, maybe not so much. But the keyboard thing is just, and the tone of the keyboard, it's just, yeah, it wasn't working for me. Mike D, Nurses Whispering Verses.
Not one of my favorites. I gave this one a 7. This was they actually redid this one for this album, and this was one of their older songs. Probably this could be far back as the 70s, but this was on a compilation on like an album they put out in 83 originally. So they kind of redid it for this album, and I really don't know why. It was, I don't know. I didn't feel a need for it. But I like it. Again, it's way too long than it needs to be, I feel. So not one of my favorites on this album.
All right. Nurses Whispering Verses, I gave it 2. It's got an annoying effect going throughout the whole song. The vocals, as most of this album, he just rambles, and goes nowhere. It's just one long line. That's my problem. Vocally, that's my problem. It's just one long line. He don't stop.
So,
it just sounds like it's what
right.
It just sounds like one long line.
If you can understand, like his vocals, it's another thing. So they're known for having way too many words and choruses, and sometimes not even enough to where it's the point where he'll stretch out one word to where it goes into like 5 or 6 spots. So you're getting like just wacky shit in there. You look at the lyrics as you're trying. This is probably Nurses Whispering Verses is probably one of the easier ones as far as to listen to the lyrics and stuff like that. But just about on everything else, it's like you're looking at the lyrics with it. And you're like, oh my God, how the hell is he doing this? How's he fitting this in? And it's like you literally will lose track of your listening.
Right. Well, there you go. That was a perfect way of saying it, is that you lose track of the melody. You lose track of but
that's what makes it great.
I guess. Overdone effects. I mean, the whole album is just too much going on. I don't mind. I mean, I'll get to it when I do my final thing, but I don't mind it here and there, because if this was a play or a movie, it'd probably be great. You know what I mean?
It reminds me of that. All the songs they're very cinematic.
Yes, I'll give it that. Yes,
it sounds like a movie score.
It sounds more like that's in my notes at the end. It sounds more like a movie score than the songs, you know, or I guess pop songs, we wouldn't call them.
Yeah.
All right. So coming in at number 14, Angel Worm Angel. What do you got, Damo?
I gave this one a 3. I probably should have gave it a slightly higher score, just because it actually had some kind of like guitars that are a little more appealing for my ears. But yeah, I probably would have gave it a 5 or something. But yeah, I gave this one a 3.
Mike D?
Gave this one a 7.5. I can't say it's one of my favorites. It's more of definitely a deep cut on the album. And this was another one that was I can't tell you when it was actually originally done, but this was one of Tim Smith's side projects that he did with another band that I can't even pronounce the name of, and I'm not even going to try. And so it worked its way on this album. So I don't know. Really didn't need to be there.
They're an English band, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What part of England do you know, offhand, or?
I couldn't tell you that.
There's definitely a quirkiness in it, you know. Okay, Angel Worm Angel. I gave it a 4. There's a lot going on. Most of these tunes, right? There's a lot of ramble for me, and they have a habit in all these songs that, as different and wacky as it is, it's a lot of the same at the same time. Where there's a lot of ramble, it gets this intense vocal, kind of build up thing, and they do it throughout the whole record. And then there's noise after that. It's hard to get anything to really stick for me. I get the intensity that they're building up to, but nothing really sticks. Like I couldn't tell you a line from it. There's one or two maybe at the end, that we rated higher. That there's a couple of things that are memorable.
It's not easy, and I think he wants it that way. I don't think he
I'm sure
wants his lyrics to be
it's
linear
like art rock,
and right. Absolutely, it's he never explains his stuff. It's just like you're just really not going to find too many answers out there.
I mean, listen,
it's everybody speculating. So.
Me and Damien were talking the other day, and we're like, we don't get how many people like Lou Reed. We find it boring as fuck, and it's just like there's people that love Lou Reed.
A couple of his things, I don't know.
But he's got that art kind of thing going on. I just don't get it. I'm like, wow. Like,
I mean, I like Tom Waits.
Oh, Tom Waits is great. He's a different animal. He's got his voice tone. He's got a whole different thing.
Right.
Okay, so coming at number 13, Red Fire coming out. What do you got, Damo?
3.5.
So elaborate on that.
A little bit better than the other songs. I don't know. Again, I probably should have gave it. Probably deserved a slightly higher score, just because it was more structured as a song that I'm more familiar with. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm gonna pretty much save my comments for the end, because for me to repeat myself after every song, it's kind of pointless.
Understandable. Mike D, Red Fire coming out.
I like this one. It's very it's a short little, I don't know, very cinematic kind of piece with these kind of just drums like kind of all over the place in it. It's very cinematic. I kind of like it, and the lyrics are weird, a little more decipherable, if that makes any sense, because they make no sense.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. This is one of the episodes where Mike D's really digging in, which I kind of appreciate. That he's actually he's giving a little more info than usual.
I didn't write, and guess what? There's not one note written down.
Good. Yeah, you're giving in some more insight than you usually do. It's good. Okay, Red Fire coming out from me, 3.25. Vocally, nothing I like here. There's some cool music in it though. The orchestration stuff's really cool. But as soon as it gets cool, they give you the ticket to the carnival. They let you in, you're back in. As soon as you're going, oh, this is getting pretty good. This is interesting. They give you the carnival, and I'm like, I just want to get off at this fucking point. I need a break. All right, but go to number 12, Odd Even. Damiano.
I gave this one a 5. I like a little. This is one of the tracks are a little more appealing to me. Kind of remind me of like some like Sgt. Peppery Beatle
absolutely
stuff. This particular song did.
At the
Mike D, Odd Even.
7.5. It's got some really cool stuff. It's it's a good song. Not one of my favorites on there. This was, I think, they actually released as a single back then.
All right, Odd Even, 2.75 from me. Some of the weird things in it are pretty cool. I don't know. It could be a vocal thing for me too. There's nothing there vocally for me, except some of the weird parts. That's all I got. Coming in number 11, Bell Clinks. What do you got, Dane?
This is actually my favorite song on the record.
All right, Damo.
Gave it a 5.5.
Better
than
tune.
Yeah. Good tune from me.
Mike D.
Yeah, I gave this one a 7. It's a decent song, not one of my favorites. Okay. I'll usually skip it if it's not on vinyl, but I don't hate it.
All right, Bell Clinks. I gave it 3. At this point of the record for me, I can't even tell the songs apart. I just can't.
It is a lot to digest.
It'll be over my head.
Like if you listen to this album a lot, there's a lot of difference between the tracks. There really is. It's not the same. The ideas are the same. It's a Cardiac song 5 notes into it, but
yeah. Okay, going on to number 10. Eat it up, Worms Hero.
Yes.
I like the title. Damiano.
Yeah, I like the intro, and then it gets fucking weird.
Yes.
Gets really fucking weird. I gave it a 4.5.
Okay. Mike D.
I gave this one a 7. And this is probably, how can I say? I don't even it's just a bizarre song. And I guess once you get over it, because this is the second song on the album. The first song, which we skipped, was Eden on Air, which kind of starts off very kind of dreamy, slow, and
The tracks that we didn't do, the instrumentals were kind of cool.
right. And then you kind of just get shot out of a cannon from there. And it's like this is technically like the first song on the album, I guess. And you're like, what the fuck is this? And so that's like, yeah, exactly. But it's like the more you listen to it, it's like it has something, and there's something cardiac crazy there. And that's as best as I could describe it.
Yep. Eat It Up, Worms Hero. I gave a 4. This is good for this. It's like a thrash song with silly instruments and guitars that are out of tune. That's what I got for that. That one middle part of the guitar, I don't know if it's out, but boy, it sounds out to me. But they're purposely going for that. That's what they're shooting for. They're shooting for the weird note, the weird whatever they're doing. It's art. That's all. Like it's art. It's the only thing I put it is. But yeah. But I had it as like a thrash song with silly instruments because it's got that thrash feel. If it was heavy.
Yeah.
All right, coming at number 9. Flap Off You Back.
Flap Off You Beak.
Oh, it's a beak or back?
Beak.
Beak.
I wrote back. Flap
Like a
Off You
bird.
Beak.
Like a bird's beak.
I actually like the titles are great. I like the titles. Flap Off You Beak. What do you got, Timo?
I'll give this one a 4 out of 10.
All right,
Really-
dang.
Really good avant-garde track.
There you go. That's a good one. Mike D.
I like this one, and it actually kind of starts off. It actually almost rips off "Smells Like Teen Spirit" in the beginning of it.
But it was out probably before, right? I know it wasn't. It was after.
Probably, I don't know. I'm guessing this is probably about some museum exhibit of birds, from what I can gather. I don't know. It's a weird one. I kind of like it. I kind of like the build up in this one. What the frick did I give this? I gave this an 8.5.
Wow.
Yeah. I like this one.
Flap Off You Beak. 3.25 from me. Not a bad opening riff. Their opening riff's kind of good. The vocals are a little dull. But this band loves to use, I mean, I'm almost positive it's the harmonizer machine they're using with that little kind of kid voice.
No, they do have. Well,
They have to be
there's
using
definitely effects going on. Absolutely.
No, but I mean,
definitely effects going on.
vocally knowing, I'm almost positive
do
it's
have
a
about,
harmonizer
like,
effect.
3 girls singing behind them.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
that's
I
what
think
it is.
they all do some singing too. It's harmonizing, and then probably warped on top of that.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely
So-
it's affected pretty heavy. All right, going on to number 8, Man Who. What do you got, Dino?
One of the more normal tracks, I gave us a 5 out of 10.
Okay, Mike D.
Yeah, definitely one of the more normal tracks and a little more Sergeant Peppery. I gave this one an 8. A little more. This is probably a little more digestible track on the album.
Man Who, I gave a 3. The chorus part is actually pretty damn cool. The melody that he does there, it's actually really, really good. And then it goes into the rest isn't just as exciting as that part. All them high, I'm going to go back to all them high harmony voices with the harmonizer effect. It's just overdone, but that's what this album does. You know, that's the sound they're shooting for. There are spots in this song that are really, really good, but all the extra stuff I think takes away from the core of the song. You know, but like I said, that's what they're going for. I would love to hear this stripped down without all the craziness. You know, just to hear the core of the song. It's not bad. I would have gave it a higher rating if the rest of it was as good as that one part. But that one part, that's a memorable melody. I thought it was pretty good, that part. Coming at number 7, Bell Eye. What do you got, Damo?
Pretty much same as the last one. I gave it 5 out of 10. I do like there's a cool keyboard part. I like that in there. I don't know what kind of organ is Farfisa organ or something.
Farfisa.
Yeah.
Mike D?
Yeah, I gave this one an 8. Another one of the more popular ones on the album. There's like a section of the album where it kind of just pops out and then it just dives back into the weirdness again.
Yep, I gave Bell Eye a 4. It starts off like a quirky little pop song. It's not bad. And then it goes into the carnival again, which it kind of loses me. I mean, they can't help, this band can't help but hit that that Carnival thing. You think that this is what they do. They can't help themselves. I think did this guy produce the record himself?
Yes.
Well, there it
Yeah.
goes.
Yes, he did.
There it goes. If they had a
He
producer in there, it would
produced
be different.
everything that they did.
Okay.
And yeah, it was all done on his label.
So that's the point when you don't have a producer and you're doing it yourself. It's the cool part is it's just your vision, which is cool.
Right.
Bad part is that
It's your vision.
it's your vision. Yeah.
Well, I think that's what he's going for, and
That's absolutely
I
what he's going
respect that because it's like you're doing something, and it's like, you know what, fuck everybody else. I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I totally get it, but you could tell listening to the stuff, I know it's self-produced. That's why I asked you. I was like, it's got to be self-produced because
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Otherwise,
absolutely.
it would be like take this out, put that there. You know, and it would be done differently. Okay.
He
Coming
might
in-
have there might be co-producers with it. I'm really not sure. I
He's
mean,
the guy though.
I
Tim
don't
Smith.
think you're going to tell him like, yeah, dude, change this part, and he's going to be like, all right, it's what he wants.
Is it Tim
So,
Smith? That's the guy,
Tim,
right?
yeah, Tim Smith.
Okay.
All right. Coming in number 6, Foundling. What do you got, Demo?
I gave this one a 4 out of 10. There's some pretty neat keyboard stuff in the middle of the song, like wow, wow, that kind of stuff. I did like some of the keyboard stuff. I'm into keyboards now, but the song overall, whether it's appealing to me, I gave it, like I said, 4.
Mike
No
D?
disrespect. No disrespect.
No, it's all right. I gave this one an 8.5, and again, like I think the few slow songs that they did just work, and this is just it's kind of it ends the album almost with the way it came in, like slow and soft, and it's a very pretty track with this crazy just wow keyboard going through it, kind of nightmarish, dreamish at the same time.
Okay. Foundling. I gave Foundling a 5. Cool intro. Definitely a real cool intro in this one. The weird thing is, I generally don't like his vocals, but every once in a while he does this cool, odd thing, and you're like, that's pretty neat. So my ears perked up a couple times on this track.
He's not real. I wouldn't call him like a Freddie Mercury type of singer.
No,
he's definitely not in that.
He's more of a character singer, this guy, yeah.
Right. He's got his own voice, and he kind of knows what to do with it, where he's not sounding.
But
like some
once in a while,
like,
he'll shoot up to this little high part that's kind of like,
Right.
hey, that's kind of neat. Like,
exactly.
that guy could do that. So this guy might be even better than we know. He's just doing
some
what
of
he
the
does,
stuff.
you
Dude,
know?
he's doing like little flutters like this. Like
Yeah.
with his hand, he's actually doing little flutters sometimes. He's doing some different stuff.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it doesn't matter if I like it or not. I give him credit. Any musician, I give credit for what they do. And yeah, I mean, give them credit for doing their own thing, doing something that's totally out of the box. Doesn't mean it has to be my thing. It's not my thing. It's not for me. It might be for somebody else. Okay. So going on, we're in the top 5 here. Fairy Mary Meg. Damiano, what do you got?
Man, this one is really weird for me. I just didn't get it. I gave it a 3.
Okay. Mike D?
I gave this one an 8.5. Great track. I just love the way it comes in with those drums just swirling all around. Everything's just swirling. The guitars are swirling. Everything's just right there. And then it just slows up, and then it builds back up to that again. I think this is a great track.
All right, Fairy Mary Mag. I gave it a 6. I like the drums in the beginning. Decent melody line in the verse. Lyrics are pretty interesting. I don't know if it's about Mary Magdalene or something. It's pretty interesting, the lyrics in this one. And yeah, this one's okay for me. Not bad. This is a higher rating for me. Not bad. I can live with this song. Coming in number 4, Fiery Gun Hand. Damiano.
I gave this one a 3.5, a little more up tempo track. 3.5.
Mike D.
I gave this one an 8. This one just comes in. It's kind of like just tears your face off in the beginning of this one. It gets a little cardiac warp at a certain point, but I like this one. This is a good track off this album.
Okay. Fiery Gun Hand. I gave it a 6.25. It's a poppy, quirky tune that goes in the same direction as the rest. But the thing I like about this, I like the guitar solo. It's a pretty cool guitar solo in this one. It's actually rocky. It's one of the rockier parts of the record. The guitar solo is cool, and then what happens then? Then send in the clowns, and then it's all over for me. But it's got its moments. Coming at number 3, Dog Like Sparky. What do you got, Demo?
What can I say? What can I say that hasn't been said before? 4 out of 10.
Okay, Mike D.
Okay, I gave this one a 7.5. I probably should have gave it higher. It's a fun track. My problem with it, it does drag on a little bit too long than it needs to be. And it could have probably ended at the 3-minute mark. And it has a really nice punch at the end of it, the way they change things up and everything. But a little too long for me, or else I probably would have gave it an extra point. And I really do like this track. It's a fun track.
Okay. Dog Like Sparky. I gave it a 6.5. It's kind of a silly song, but at least it has a sing-along. And it's a bit more memorable because of the sing-along. So I don't mind it because it's a kind of a fun track. So I really don't mind this one. This one's okay. Coming at number 2, Dirty Boy. What you got, Demo?
Gave it a 3.75.
Wow.
It lost a 0.25 points because it was a little too long. Coming in at almost 9 minutes. Hey,
What is
gets a
it, Iron
pass.
Maiden?
if it was like 3 or 4 minute song, probably would have got a 5.5 or something.
That's where the producer comes in. Mike D.
This is a 10 all day. This is the one off the album. This is the song. This is the Cardiac song right here. This is it. This is just an awesome track.
Mike
All
D.
day long, this is a 10. And I'll tell you what, and I won't, this is one, unless I listen to it on vinyl, I won't listen to it all the time because I'll kill it for myself being a 10-minute song. But when I do put it on, wow, this is a killer track. And all day.
Dirty Boy. I gave it a 5. The coolest riff on the record. And it sounds like an Alice Cooper riff. So it reminds you of 18 a lot. At least some of that in the beginning of that guitar riff. It's the heaviest riff on the record, probably.
And probably a very decipherable song if you look at the lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, it's
one of their easy. It's pretty much about jerking off.
It's got the Cooper feel to it in the beginning of the song, which gets me. I'm like, okay, cool, that sounds great. It's got a good melody line during the verse. It gets lost because it goes on and on. It just goes on and on and on.
It's the whole build. It's the whole small changes. It's just this is the song.
For me, it goes on, and it's like, take a breath, dude. Like, let it breathe a little bit. The music under the pre-chorus is cool. This is one of the tracks that are listenable to me on here. This is one that if I had to pick a Cardiac song or two, this would be one. But I gave it a 5. This one's a little bit more my speed, the song. Okay, coming in at number 1, the best song or our best song as a whole. Gotta love it. Insect Hoof on Lassie comes in at number 1. What do you got there, Damiano?
Yeah, as far as my opinion goes, definitely one of the better tracks. I gave it a 5 out of 10.
Okay, Mike D.
For me, this was probably the second best track on the album. I gave this one a 9. I absolutely love the drums. I just love the way they come in, and then it works its way into a certain point, and then you get these crazy horns in there that's really not too annoying. And then just as the song's getting like, wow, this is really good, it just ends. But I really do like this track a lot.
Okay, Insect Hoof on Lassie. For me, I gave it a 7, which is my highest score on the record. Pretty good, I think. I think I dig some of it. I'll be guilty here because it sounds like Ghost during the verse. Which I'm sure they were influenced by this band, it definitely has that. I could hear Ghost doing that verse in the second. It sounds like that voice almost, which is kind of cool. I wish the rest of the album had that voice, for that verse. Yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's why I probably like it. It's got a familiar sound to me, probably. And yeah. So overall, coming in, the Cardiacs gets a total rating with all three of us combined. I gave it a 4. Mike D gave it an 8. Damien gave it a 4.04. So the total average comes in at 5.34. Better than average. Okay, so overall, Damiano, give us your overall on the album.
Got some notes here. Okay. You guys ever get sick where you're running like 100-degree fever? You ever had those fever dreams, those nightmares, everything? I don't know, man. When I had those fevers, I had these weird fucking dreams where everything is fast. Everything is like super speed and everything is so fucking weird. That's what this reminded me of. The music reminds me of the feeling you get when you have a fever and you have a nightmare or a dream. Everything is weird and fast and erratic. It's like a twisted carnival or circus. It's like Ray Manzarek from The Doors, like a twisted version in his brain with these fucking carnival keyboards and everything. There's so much weird shit. I don't even know how you could somebody could create this stuff or remember it. Yeah. Honestly, man, I think all the songs sound very similar, and I think a lot of it has to do with the that really high vocal harmonizer thing, which sounds like I don't know, it just makes everything sound the same. But hey, you know, someone who's really into this music might hear a Journey song and say, "Hey, how come all the songs sound the
Sure.
same?"
Yeah, it's subjective.
So, you know, I get it. You know, I'm just it's weird, man. It's like really weird stuff. It's very cinematic sounding. It sounds like it could be a movie score. Yeah, it definitely is art. That's for sure. It's art rock, avant-garde stuff. It's out there, man. I did not expect.
Yeah, I mean, everything
anything.
you can say about it is pretty much what's said about it.
Yeah, I didn't expect this at all. This is not what I expected. I thought they're going to be like a 70s British punk band or something, and it's not that at all.
No.
Yep. All right, so instead of going to Mike D like I usually would, I'm going to let Mike D end this one off. So I'm going to give my overall. Cardiac, Sing to God. It is artistic, and I dig that it's artistic, but I'm going to give it a new thing here. We use it a lot on here, but I'm going to use the 3 letters. NFM, not for me. That's going to be the new thing we all could use. Not for me. It's just not my deal. I know there's a ton of talent in this stuff, and they're doing some wild stuff, and it inspired a ton of bands. You know, but if I wanted to hear this, I would just put on the radio and go like this. You know what I mean? I would just put on the AM FM and just go like this the whole fucking time, and that's just me. I'll do it for 8 minutes too, by the way. So you know, 8 minutes straight. Now, that being said, if this was the soundtrack score to a movie like Killer Clowns from Outer Space, it would work for me. It would totally work for me. But as a listening experience, it honestly, and I listened to this 4 or 5 times, it honestly gave me a fucking headache. By the time I was done, I was like, what? Well, I had enough. I mean, they should give you this fucking record with a bottle of Tylenol. You know what I mean? I just had just so much cool stuff in there. I can't say there's not cool stuff in there. There's definitely cool stuff in there. It's just not my deal. I think the keyboards really did it. I think the keyboards, just fucking. I don't mind a little of the carnival stuff. If it's done heavy, maybe because that's what I like. So this is not really my genre, but just for my thing, it's just I respect it. Not for me. Mike D.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand that, and like I said, this was a band that was pretty much panned by the critics their whole career, and it wasn't until recent that some of these critics are actually going back and actually saying, "Wait, we fucked up on what we said."
Well,
so
people don't get it at first. I might like it 10 years from now. Who knows?
And nonetheless, I think this is an album. I think like some way it'll stick to you. It'll definitely stick to you. And that's what I think's the best about it. There's really no box. It's just whatever it wants to do. And I think that's what makes it special. That's what makes it so great that somebody can actually put this out. And you know, this wasn't even a big album, and now it's sort of starting to gain some recognition. So there's definitely something there that maybe you just don't like it, and that's totally understandable. But this is definitely a great album.
There you have it. Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes. We'll see you
Check it
next
out.
week. It's on Spotify.
On Spotify.